What truly sets a small group of people apart from the rest of the world? It is not wealth. It is not recognition. It is not external circumstances. It is a conscious choice. At certain moments in life, there is a quiet inner question. How long will things remain the same? There has already been enough doubt, enough uncertainty, enough comparison with others. For a long time, the focus may have been placed on external reassurance, on waiting for something or someone to bring clarity or direction. And now, it becomes important to recognize this. Strength is developed from within, not given from the outside. Sometimes situations change, connections end, roles and identities shift, and that transition can feel disorienting. But those moments are not failures, they are signals for awareness and growth. The real challenge is not change itself, but losing connection with one's own direction during that change. Many people spend their lives seeking external confirmation. They look for approval to feel secure. They stay constantly occupied to avoid stillness. Others choose a different approach. They allow space. They reflect. They rebuild with intention. They understand a simple principle. Time spent alone is not a setback, it is preparation. Many say they want to grow stronger and more focused, yet silence can feel uncomfortable. Stillness requires attention, and attention leads inward.
The 1% does. Because the 1% understands that before leading a relationship, you must lead yourself. Before loving, you must have structure. Before sharing your life, you must have one. You are not here by accident. If this message reached you, it's because something inside you refuses to remain average. This is not about your past. It's not about mistakes. It's not about who rejected you. It's about who you decide to be now. A strong man does not chase. He does not beg. He does not crawl emotionally. A strong man builds. He disciplines himself. He works in silence. He becomes someone who doesn't need to be chosen because he already chose himself. This is the beginning of the 1% mindset. It's not comfortable, it's not easy, but it's real. And if you're willing to continue, we're going to talk about vision, about breakups, and about how to use pain as fuel, not as an excuse. There is something that separates the average man from the 1% man, and it's not luck, it's vision. Many men remain trapped in the past, in what was, in what didn't work, in what they lost. They mentally replay the breakup, the argument, the message that never came, the goodbye they didn't expect. And without realizing it, they live anchored to someone who is no longer there. Listen to this carefully. You cannot build a powerful future if you're still living emotionally in the past.
Pain is not the problem. Betrayal is not the problem. Rejection is not the problem. The problem is failing to learn how to see beyond it. The 1% feels pain too. They lose too. They get rejected too. The difference is they don't stay there. They understand that pain can do two things. Either it weakens you or it wakes you up. And that depends on a single decision. What story are you telling yourself? If you tell yourself, "She left because I'm not enough. Without her, I'm nobody. I always end up alone," then you become that story. But if you tell yourself, "This ended because it no longer aligned with who I must become. This loneliness is temporary. My growth is permanent." This is not the end, it's the breaking point. Then everything changes. The 1% has vision. They can see beyond the uncomfortable moment, beyond the open wound, beyond the wounded ego. They can imagine themselves stronger, more disciplined, more focused, and they begin acting like that man before they ever feel ready. This is where many fail. They wait to feel motivated.
They wait to feel confident. They wait to feel complete.
The 1% does not wait. They act first. Confidence comes later. And there's something you must understand if you're coming from a relationship where you depended emotionally. Love cannot be your foundation. Your foundation must be your character. If you build your life around one person, that life collapses when that person leaves. But if you build your life around principles, discipline, and purpose, no one can take that away from you. This is the moment when you stop asking, why did this happen to me? And you start asking, what is this turning me into? Because maybe that breakup wasn't a loss. Maybe it was a release. Maybe you needed to be alone to hear yourself. Maybe you needed silence to organize your mind. Maybe someone had to leave so you could return to yourself. The 1% understands that vision is born when you decide to stop running from silence. That's where your identity is redefined. That's where you choose higher standards. That's where you decide you will no longer beg for attention, affection, or validation. You don't need anyone to move forward. You don't need anyone to grow. You don't need anyone to be strong. You need clarity. You need discipline. You need a reason big enough to never go back. And in the next part, we're going to talk about that. How to build a solid identity, how to stop looking outside for what you must create within, and how to close this path with a reflection that marks a before and an after.
There comes a moment in every man's life when he stops running. He stops looking outward. He stops waiting for someone else to complete him. That moment doesn't arrive when everything is fine. It arrives when you're tired of repeating the same cycle. Tired of depending, tired of doubting, tired of handing your emotional power to people who cannot carry it. The 1% understands something most never accept. Your identity cannot depend on a relationship. A woman can walk with you. She can inspire you. She can walk beside you. But she can never be your foundation, because when you make someone else your center, you lose your own. And here's the truth few say clearly. The breakup didn't break you. What broke you was abandoning your purpose for someone else. But don't blame yourself. Wake up. Strength is not built by proving anything to anyone. It's built by keeping promises to yourself. Small promises, daily, silent. Getting up when you don't feel like it. Training when no one is watching. Working when no one is applauding. Thinking long-term while others chase immediate relief. The 1% doesn't live reacting emotionally. It lives with direction. It has boundaries. It has standards. It has self-control. Not because he is cold, but because he respects himself too much to surrender to chaos. And here's an honest question, without drama or exaggeration. Who are you when no one chooses you? Who are you when there are no messages? Who are you when you are alone with your thoughts? That is the one you must strengthen. Because if you can master yourself in solitude, you can lead in any environment. You don't need to become aggressive. You don't need to become insensitive. You need to become stable. The world already has too many broken men looking for someone to save them. The world needs centered men, firm, grounded, aware of their value. Men who do not chase, who do not beg, who do not negotiate their dignity for attention. Men who can say, I'm fine on my own, and that's why I choose wisely when I share my life. Final reflection. Being part of the 1% is not about having more than others. It's about needing less. Less approval, less noise, less emotional dependence, and more character, more vision, more inner mastery. Don't ask why someone left. Ask who you are becoming now that they are gone. Maybe this uncomfortable stage isn't a setback. Maybe it's the training you were missing. Remember this, you don't need anyone to be whole. You need yourself present, disciplined, and driven by purpose.
And if you made it this far, it's not by chance. It means something inside you has already awakened. If this message brought you clarity, if you felt something resonate within you, subscribe to SerenoSpace.
We don't promise shortcuts here. We promise truth, mental strength, and real growth. Leave a like so this message reaches more men who need it, and write one single sentence in the comments. I don't need anyone to be strong. This is your space. This is your moment. And this is only the beginning.